Welcome back to the channel. In this episode, we're going to go over the Timeless Quest. Is the Journey to Know Oneself by Dhitri Malik. But before we get into that, again, I just ask that you please like, subscribe, turn on notifications so you know when new videos come on out. Spread the word. Leave a comment down below. Spread the word. I always enjoy hearing from you guys, and I appreciate your support. So how I came across this one, because this was not a planned read for me. Somebody, the author actually on Facebook, asked me if I would read and review this for the channel. Seeing that I got a lot of heavy fantasy sci-fi kind of bit going on here. The author said it's fiction and it's fantasy, and it is. It's both. It's geared, I think, more toward kids. Other than the fact that it does have a couple of expletives in the book, but I'm sure most kids have heard more than that. I guess a few things to explain before delving into the story is there's going to be a bit of a cultural gap, though it's not stated where the story is taking place. Going by a lot of the different foods and some of the words that are used, we can make the assumption that it's in India. So even though I didn't know all of the things that were listed like on the menu that Tom gets to order because he's a billionaire kid, I didn't know really many of those foods, but that was okay. Some of the phrases or the words that they used, I didn't know, but some of them were explained well enough. The other thing, and I tend to notice, this is a self-published book, for one. But I notice Kindle gets a lot of grammatical and spelling errors, and this one's got quite a bit of it. So you kind of have to try to navigate your way around that. And again, it's probably a bit of a language thing too, the cultural gap. So you kind of have to sort of maneuver your way around the fact that the spelling and the grammar is not perfect. But anyway, enough of that. Let's get on to the story, so I don't keep you too long. It starts off with Tom. He's a billionaire who has everything, and he's like most adults now. He's a kid, but he's like most adults. He's addicted to his cell phone and social media and talking to friends through social media and on his phone. So much to the point where he really has no family relationship with his parents. His mom's constantly yelling at him because he's always on his phone. He doesn't study or do his homework as much as he should, and his grades start to suffer. So there's a moral here. Every chapter basically has a moral at the end, and it's listed, it's stated at the end of each chapter. So a new student comes in, Jack, and he's got this book. He goes off and he sits by himself in the classroom, and all the other kids are sitting by Tom because obviously he's the billionaire, so everybody's around him for the money. But Tom's wondering why this kid's sitting way over there by himself. Why not come by me? So he gets up and he goes and sits next to Jack and asks Jack, what are you reading? And Jack's just like, doesn't want to really tell him. He says it's a secret. But it's kind of a magical secret. And the book kind of shimmers and shines. So Tom kind of notices this, but he's curious as to what this book really is. But at the same time, he's still going on. He's still doing his cell phone thing, and he gets, grounded from having food, which seems kind of cruel. No lunch, no dinner, no breakfast for like a week. Maybe that might be something that's common there. I don't know. I don't think you can get away with it here in the U.S. You would be in trouble big time with the authorities if you deprive your kid of food for a week. But it happens here, and it's a story. So, but the crux of it is that there's this pollution thing that comes in. The air becomes so polluted that they have to shut down the school, and they're going to have like a 15-day vacation. And all the kids are like, yeah. And Tom doesn't really know what he's going to do on his vacation. Jack is going to go to his grandparents' village. And Tom says, you know what? I've been everywhere. I've seen everything. Maybe I'll go check this village out too. So Jack says, okay, we'll go. But he doesn't tell Jack the one, probably most important thing. There's no Wi-Fi. There's no gig service. Your cell phone is basically going to be worthless here. So they go to the village, and that's where Tom realizes, hey, I got no Wi-Fi. This kind of sucks. But he meets Jack's friends, and they start to get these clues to visit a magical village, a magical town or city. And basically, they all have to solve these different riddles. And the cell phone doesn't work for any of it. One of the riddles is, I have roots that are showing through, and I'm at a crossroads. Well, Tom's like, oh, I can do that. Let's Google it, right? I can Google this. Google doesn't have the answer. So Jack says, see, not Google or the internet doesn't have all the answers. We have to come up with this our own. So they go through this series of riddles, and they find a key in this tree. And they're like, okay, but where's the key go? And they think they're getting duped. They come back. As they're walking back, they get another clue saying, no, you're right. So they go back to the tree, and they're going all around the tree, and they carve out a door. And they go in through this door, and they're in front of this huge castle. But there's nobody around. There's no people. Just statues. They go in the castle. Again, just statues. There's no king sitting in the throne. There's a queen sitting in her throne, but she's a statue. So there's another riddle, another clue as to how to make the queen not be a statue, but to bring her back into being. And that is to offer her love and kindness. Because it's a curse that was put on this city by a witch. So Tom is actually the one that breaks the curse by hugging her. Everybody else is kind of like, they're stroking her and they're, saying, nice little things. But Tom actually goes and he hugs her. And that brings her back. But she says, before I can trust you to break this curse, you have to solve more riddles. So we're basically dealing with a book full of riddles here. So they solve all these riddles, and the queen finally then tells them what happened. There was a woman named Nora who was a friend of the king. And she really liked the king and always wanted to be a part of his life. Well, when the king married the queen, Nora thought, okay, I'm going to be forgotten. And she was not happy about this. So she put forward a curse. Everybody is statues. Boom. That's it. what's the answer? How do we break the curse? Well, they come up with a good idea. Why don't you tell Nora that you guys can be like sisters? And the king can be like her brother. That way, we're all going to still care for each other. We're all still going to be in each other's lives. And you're not going to lose the king. It's just, it's going to be a different relationship. It's going to be a platonic brother relationship. And the queen says, yeah, that might work. So they go and they find Nora, and she gets mad when she sees the queen is no longer a statue and she's hurling all this stuff with her magic. And the queen basically tells her, look, we can be sisters. You can be he can be your brother. And the king, who at this point now he's not a statue either. He's like, yeah. He's like, I've always loved you like a sister. And Nora stops and thinks and says, if I could have gotten a sister like this I would have turned you all to statues a long time ago. I would have did this a long time ago. So it's kind of comical. So after they solve the curse and they break the curse, they get home and they find out that Jack's mom called and said that they got to come back to school early. The pollution level is okay now. It's safe for them to come back. And neither of them want to go back. Especially, Jack is like loving it there. He wants to go back to this magical place over and over. But the surprising thing is, so does Tom. And that's where the childhood part of the story ends. It then picks up 10 years later, where they are both engineers. Now, why Tom had to go out and get a job, I don't know. He's a billionaire, right? But I guess he wanted something to do. He spends minimal time on the phone. Him and Jack have competitions of who can read books quicker. And they're best friends. So, what's the overall moral of the story? That technology that we have, and it kind of goes back to an old communication theory of technological determinism by Marshall McLuhan, that the tools that we shape in turn shape us. So the cell phones that we have made, the devices that we have made, we have become connected to. Those devices have now shaped us. And Tom is finally able to shed that, and he begins to learn about himself, which is one of the ultimate journeys. And I lived in the time before the internet, before the cell phones, before FaceTime, and it was a constant journey to find yourself, and I think it still is. But we distract ourselves so much with the technology, with the cell phones, and all of that. So I really like the message that's there. I think it resonates not just with kids, but I think it can resonate with adults too. Overall, I gave it a 4-star on Goodreads. The reasons being for the 4 is, one, I didn't think Tom needed to be a billionaire and have it all to get where he had to get to. I understood why it was done, but I don't know if it really needed to be done. The second reason is just the grammar and the spelling. Some parts are really, really difficult to get through, and it's hard to try to make sense of the sentence the way it's written, and you try to put it in the order that, at least that I'm used to doing English, and I have to find myself adjusting words and wondering, is that really what's being meant? So those were really the only reasons why it got brought down. I think, even though, like I said, it's more geared toward kids, I think it's something that everybody can, everybody that is like addicted to their technology can relate to and can benefit from. So yeah, 4 stars on Goodreads. I would recommend it. I mean, it's free on Kindle. That was how I read it. And I like to thank the author, Dhitri, for asking me to do this. Like I said, this was not, I had never even heard of this book. So this was like an unplanned one. So yeah. So as always, please, again, please like, subscribe, turn on notifications so you know when new videos are coming on out. Leave a comment down below if there's something that you want me to read or you think I should read and talk about and review and on the channel. Let me know. Or whether, what you think of the channel or the videos or any of the series that I cover. I love hearing from you, and I always respond. Also, spread the word. It helps me out, and I appreciate it. I appreciate all the support that you guys give. It means a lot. So, until next time, as always, keep YouTube literate, and God bless.